Almost 80 years ago, a flight of 6 US B-24 Liberator bombers destroyed 2 parallel bridges over the Mae Khlong River in Thailand during World War II. One of the bridges was made of concrete and steel and carried supplies to Japanese troops further up the line. The other bridge, 100 metres away, was made of wood and carried mostly foot traffic and light truck traffic. It wasn't sturdy enough to carry fully loaded supply trains. The British Air Force, the RAF, the Royal Air Force, was fully aware of the bridges and had done a few recce missions and photographed them from the air, but they didn't have the capability to take them out. That's why the mission on February the 13th, 1945 was given to the 493rd Squadron of the 7th Bomb Group based in India, the US Air Force. There was a chap called Corporal Andy Hocko Junior. He was a ball turret gunner, and he lived the remainder of his life in Mount Airy, North Carolina.
Andy Hocko Junior was the son of Slovakian immigrants who settled in Scranton, Pennsylvania, USA, and he was a waist gunner aboard Double Trouble, a B-24J Liberator bomber that took off from Pandavesvar, India, on February the 13th, 1945. Joined by 5 other bombers from the 10th Air Force's 493rd Squadron, 7th Bomb Group, Double Trouble winged southeast over Calcutta and the Indian Ocean before turning east en route to the jungled borderlands between Burma and Thailand. The low-level in-and-out mission would take 15 hours, assuming they returned safely. The B-24's objectives were 2 railroad bridges, one steel and concrete, the other a rickety wooden trestle spanning the Mae Khlong River near Kanchanaburi, a town in western Thailand. The structures were 2 among hundreds of bridges punctuating the Japanese-engineered 258-mile Death Railway, the construction of which claimed the lives of 20,000 Allied prisoners of war and over 100,000 Asian conscripts. A 1952 novel actually written by a French geezer who wasn't there, and a 1957 movie, The Bridge on the River Kwai, depict a fictional commando raid on a wooden bridge spanning a different, smaller river. Indeed, it was filmed in Sri Lanka. However, to memorialise the Death Railway and promote tourism, local authorities now designate Kanchanaburi stretch of the Mae Khlong as the River Kwai. Today, these particular bridges, which have been rebuilt since World War II, hold strong symbolic meaning. But in 1945, to Andy Hocko Junior and his Double Trouble crewmates, they were little more than coordinates on a map.
He was in the lead bomber, nicknamed Double Trouble, on the day his B-24 came roaring down the river at treetop level and dropped 4 bombs at the base of a concrete pier holding up the centre spans of the railway bridge known only as Bridge 277. That is Bridge 277 right there.
Well, I once came here about 25 years ago. I really don't remember it. We're in the exact spot where the first wooden bridge of the River Kwai was built by the prisoners of war under Japanese army control in World War II. Kanchanaburi.
The B-24 was noisy. We flew out of New Jersey in September '44, then to New York, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Nova Scotia, the Azores, Algiers, Cairo. When we got to Karachi, the engineer got malaria, so I had to take over. My first mission was actually not with my crew. I was a tail gunner with another crew for a bombing mission to Bangkok. Over Burma on the way back, a plane flew by. It was a Japanese observation plane. He waved at me, so I waved back to him. We would almost always bomb railroads, railroad bridges, medium elevation bombing missions at about 2,000 to 3,000 feet with regular bombs. We had 297 hours of bombing missions in. Once we flew to China to deliver gasoline, so I spent Christmas 1944 in China.
Hocko was then asked if he was operating the camera during the February the 13th mission against the bridges across the Mae Khlong River.
Sometimes we had the camera, sometimes we didn't. This time I had the camera. They told us, no testing the camera until you're in a mission. I'm sitting on the floor. A hatch door near the back of the plane was open. I tried to take a picture when the bombardier said, "We dropped the bombs." I even saw where the bomb dropped. I pushed the camera trigger. It wouldn't work. I shook the camera handle. Next thing the tail gunner said, "The bridge is down." So I took the camera and tried it once more, and that's when I got the picture.
Two of the bombers, including Hocko's, suffered minor damage from ground fire that day. "A bullet came up through the open bomb bay doors," said Hocko, who saw that it hit a terminal that controlled the transfer pump. Without the pump, the flight engineer would not have been able to transfer gasoline in bomb bay tanks to the bomber's 4 engines. So Hocko climbed out the narrow catwalk in the bomb bay and rewired the terminal. "Thank goodness I always carried a pair of pliers in my flight suit," laughed Hocko. "Or we would have run out of gas and had a crash land on the way back to the base in India." That is a terrible accent, I apologise. One of the bombers lost an engine over the target and had to crash land in Burma, but the crew were rescued. And as you can see from these pictures, the wooden bridge and the steel bridge were about 100 metres apart, and they were subjected to numerous air raids from in between sort of January and June 1945, and prisoner of war labour was used to repair the wooden bridge on each occasion. Disease was a huge killer among railway workers, but even more so was the brutality. Japanese guards were known for their cruelty and would frequently torture and assault their prisoners. During the cutting of Hellfire Pass, for example, 70 men were beaten to death across a 12-week period. But here, the building of Bridge 277 was overseen by 2,000 British and Dutch prisoners of war. They were supported by an unknown number of Malaysian and local labourers. At their head was Lieutenant Colonel Philip Toosey. Toosey would provide the inspiration for Lieutenant Colonel Nicholson, portrayed by Alec Guinness in the 1957 films. It wasn't until after Hocko retired that he learned that one of the bridges bombed that day, the wooden one, had become famous in the movie. But there never was a bridge on the River Kwai. The French author who wrote a book that inspired the movie got his rivers mixed up, as the Frenchies often do, lack of attention to detail. But due to the worldwide attention drawn by the movie, the government of Thailand renamed a stretch of the Mae Khlong River the River Kwai. Well, they didn't actually, they renamed it the River Kwai. And today the railway bridge is a major tourist attraction. The movie The Bridge on the River Kwai was filmed in Sri Lanka, and they used whatever wooden bridge they built there. This is the real bridge over the River Kwai. It's bridge number 277 of the Burma-Siam Railway, and it crosses the lazily winding Kwae Noi at Kanchanaburi, Thailand. See, the river's been renamed, but it hasn't been renamed the River Kwai. It's the River Kwai.
A warm welcome to Senior General Mae Khlong, Commander-in-Chief, BMR Defence Services. Knock that prick out.